Live now. Hey, shalom, shalom. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. Shalom, shalom. All praise and glory to the Most High. Haya B'Hashem Yeshaya. Wawakudash. Brother Jacob. I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick. Just stay tuned. I just want to know if can you guys all hear me here? All right, there's my beautiful wife, Yolanda Ben Gad. One Nation, One Power. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me, man, because I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm using some different equipment. And I just don't want to be too loud, or I want to make sure you guys hear me. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Top Sig? Hey, much love, brother. It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you still live, still doing what the Most High had created us to do. That's right. That's good. You can hear me, guys, huh? Well, I want to play something real quick, man. Now, I don't know if a lot of you old timers probably know about Eddie Grant, but this is a song that I grew up on. And like I said, I'm doing using some new equipment, so just bear with me, man. Just let me know how it sounds. You invite me to a war party. Me no wanna go. Everybody seems to be inviting me to a war party. Me no wanna go. Heard about the last one, so thanks, but no thank you. Yo, you killed off all the Indians and you killed off all the slaves, but not quite so you kill off the remains. You look for me, I'm looking for you. I can't believe what they say about you is true. That you're a bastard just like Pharaoh. You kill the children just like Pharaoh. Now you send that ticket for me. You don't have RSVP. Oh Lord, it's a war party. Me no wanna go. Everybody seems to be inviting me to a war party. Me no wanna go. Heard about the last one, so thanks, but no thank you. Yo. You invited all our wise men many times before to dance around your fires and even out your scores. And when tolls taken of the valiant and the brave, the only decoration is the one upon the grave. Oh no, you're a bastard just like Pharaoh. You kill the children just like Pharaoh. Now you send a ticket for me, and it don't have RSVP. Oh Lord, it's a war party. Me no wanna go. Everybody seems to be inviting me to a war party. Me no wanna go. Heard about the last one, so thanks, but no thank you. Ayo. Please don't send no ticket for me. No, don't send no ticket. No, don't send no ticket for me if it don't have RSVP. Oh Lord, it's a war party. We don't wanna go. Everybody seems to be inviting me to our war party. We don't wanna go. Heard about the last one, so thanks, but no. Do you wanna go? Say no. with that. Hey, Shalom, family. All praise and glory to the Most High. Ahaya, by Shemi Shayo, well, Wakwadash. So I'm gonna go ahead. As you see the title, I got connecting ancient Native American teachings with biblical and modern understanding. Now I'm also going to show a video, which I like to do because I just don't like to use my own words, my own thinking, my own say so. I mean, I like to use the words of other people to authenticate what I'm bringing out because a lot of people just see us as just being ignorant, plain native people, but in the eyes of other people, we are a great people. All right, we are a great people, and we got to realize that, especially you, my brothers and sisters. You know, and hopefully this video helps you and helps those that are barely coming to this truth, not knowing who they are, not knowing what to expect, and not even treating themselves with respect. Because we are a great people, man. We are a great civilization. From the East Coast to the West Coast to the North and South and all the islands in between. Yeah, so I'm going to show this video. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully it inspires our people to wake up to see who they are. Really. Because I know today's teaching, today's curriculum, it doesn't show us as being highly evolved people because even if you listen to these, archaeologists and scientists and all these other these other ways of scholarship, they try to tell us or try to show us indigenous people as being primitive, right? Working with primitive tools. They were so primitive that they didn't have a writing system. That they were so primitive that they were walking around in animals' clothes and or using animals as clothes and not even advancing in technology, this and that. And you can also hear that with the mindset of today's generation. They'll look at indigenous people and never consider that they were actually an intelligent civilization. There was an actual intelligent civilization residing on this side of the planet or on this side of the hemisphere, the West Coast, right? They never thought or it never came to their mind that a lot of the things that they have today came from our ancestors and from our ancestors' oral tradition, their healing, their practices, and their psychology and their even their what's the other word I'm looking, their teachings, and they never see that through our eyes. And even indigenous people that was not raised on the reservation or not raised in a background where they had a certain pride about themselves, they cannot even see themselves being intelligent people on this side of the world either. Because they listen to the doctrine of the white people or today's educational system, and they agree with that system of us being primitive, backwards people, barbaric, savages. They believe that in some sense. You know what I mean? They cannot believe in us being a sophisticated type of people. But right here, you know. But right here, I'm going to show you a video, and this was produced mostly by Native Americans, by so-called Native Americans, indigenous people, the children of Israel. This was produced by them, and they were bringing this out because, they were bringing this out, and I think that every indigenous people should hear this, especially from, the young to the old, because it tells us who we are as a people. It shows other people who we are as a people, that we're not just a bunch of drunk Native Americans on the reservation or just a bunch of lost Native Americans in the cities, but we are an evolved people. And that evolution of who we are is still going to evolve even more based upon the information that I'm going to bring out tonight, because we got to understand one thing, that our people were highly sophisticated. And even though you might see us in our leather fringed out outfit, or even in our or because the Hopi people, they have Hopi cotton, so they weave Hopi cotton, the cotton that they grew from in Hopi, you know and different things like of that kind,
even though we have that kind of system already in place, and people never thought of us as being, highly advanced, because I mean, like, what's one of the things that they use? What kind of argument they use? Well, Native Americans never invented the wheel, or if it wasn't for the Europeans, you know, this world would, or this country would have been would have been lost, or you were just wasting the resources of this continent. These are some of the things that they throw back at Native Americans, because they didn't see us as being highly advanced because of their inventions, or their, so-called, intelligence, because they were able to create, like, I don't know, or invent cars, airplanes, and all these other things. But this video is going to show you something completely different. And I'm going to go into scriptures here in the Third Testament. And also I got a book right here. If you can see that. All right, I don't know if you can see that, right? It's I'll make you better see. Atlantis 2012, and it talks about the Mayan prophecies and also some Hopi prophecies. And I'm going to go into it, and I'm going to show you in the Third Testament, in chapter 51, about you know today's science. I guess you could say the modern thinking of the understanding of today's science and the Most High science, and how our people, right, had an understanding of that science even in the ancient time. I did a video last night talking about our ancestors having that knowledge or that wisdom about our ancestors before the flood, and how they were advanced in their technology in everything, and of course today, they talk about the what's that the Atlantis, right, and they talk about the what's that the Anunnakis, right, and all these other different teaching, or these other different doctrines about how the world was viewed at that time, how they had technology at that time. So some of the stuff I'm going to bring out today we're going to go into some of that. So let me go ahead and play this for you right now.
Of the Americas. We have been here from the beginning. Our ancestors navigated by the wind and stars, crossing vast oceans and mountain ranges, searching for new lands. Over thousands of years, our ancestors became astronomers and architects, philosophers and scientists, artists and inventors. We created distinct societies and built vast trade systems that covered 2 continents. In 1492, our world was changed forever, but we did not disappear. Today, the languages and teachings of our ancestors remain. And these are the untold stories of the Americas before Columbus. The Americas were home to groundbreaking achievements in science and technology long before 1491. In Mesoamerica, Indigenous people developed a complex writing system, calendars, and books. In South America, a precise accounting machine was created more than 5,000 years ago. Throughout the Western Hemisphere, sophisticated knowledge and the use of plants as medicine has been practiced for thousands of years. Some achievements, like the earliest use of the number zero and brain surgery, were among the most advanced in the world for their time. Indigenous men and women gathered, studied, and administered thousands of species of plants for healing purposes. These skilled ethnobotanists adapted plants for use as sedatives, painkillers, and other types of medicines. Native peoples had a very ancient and traditional practice, but there were multiple dimensions to it. Some of that was as essential as herbs and ethnopharmacology, as we call it. In other words, a botanical repertoire of things that are medical. The reality is much of the medical tradition we have here in the Western tradition is born precisely of those herbs and their alkaloids and the way in which we've extracted them.
Indigenous medicine was not simply a process of preparing plants and offering them to a sick person. Healers had a deep knowledge of plant chemistry and how different plants interacted as medicines.
In the Western tradition, there's a tendency to engage in a primitivist rhetoric about Native American medicine. The idea that, oh, well, it's about superstition and it's about evil spirits and it's about herbs. Because some of the people could literally walk through a forest and identify plants and their curative properties simply from visual inspection alone, such that the chemovars, which are the active ingredients that allow for the healing or the relieving of symptoms, could be relieved, and they knew which plants those were.
One of the more common plants that was used is a plant known as yarrow. And yarrow is a very good example of curative plant because this was one that was put on wounds and cuts. Because if you take the yarrow plant and then just chew it up, you masticate it, you release all the alkaloids that are in there, and you put it onto an open wound, it actually has properties that will cause the blood to clot faster. But other plants, such as sweetgrass, these are plants that are used more in ceremonial uses, where if you're starting a ceremony and you put sweetgrass on there, coal and the smoke from the sweetgrass has the properties that you're looking for.
For those who don't buy the idea that herbs can cure us, the reality is much of the medical tradition we have here in the Western tradition is born precisely of those herbs and their alkaloids and the way in which we extracted them.
Today, many modern pharmaceuticals trace their origins to medicines developed by indigenous people.
Aspirin, acetylsalicylic acid, which comes from willow or aspen, the bark. This was a very common one that was used from ancient times. And the active ingredient was isolated and was then used to become aspirin in modern times.
And many of those plants and many of these people were being used by the medical industry to find those very substances. Many of those have been introduced into our medical tradition, but in the forms of capsules and pills and injections. And thereby, the American Indian is taken out of the equation, though they are the discoverers and innovators of these medicines. One of the ancient manuscripts that came down to us had an entire listing of plants used by the Aztecs. And there was an incredible period in which, after having examined that book and its curative properties, or the properties of the plants identified, one of them spoke of a disease that basically engaged the withering of the human body and ultimately the death of the individual. And it was supposed to be a means by which to relieve the symptoms and or cure the disease. And those that were studying this document came to the conclusion that it was a plant that had curative properties to defeat cancer.
There's a range of treatments for.
Hey, so are you guys catching this, man? Because believe it or not, right? Believe it or not, our people had this gift from the Most High. And if any of you guys caught my video last night when I was talking about the Hopi prophecies, and how one of their prophecies about the two stones, right, and that they had the gift and the teaching of herbs, but medicine, and not only that, but also being one with what people will call nature, right? But see, don't get these words twisted when we say nature, okay? Don't get it twisted to what today's modern hearsay is saying about Native American and nature, okay? I want you to take a biblical, a biblical account of what nature is, because nature is the Most High's creation. He created the world, and he said it was good. In the book of Genesis, when he created the stars, the sun, the moon, the plants, the living things in the water, the creepy things on the earth, and men and women, he said they were good. So when Native Americans, those with the true teaching, when they associate with nature, it's not the mysticism of what you see today, with the different belief system of like the wick what do we call them, the witches, the what's the other one, the what's the other word, witches and warlocks, and the other ones, it starts with with the natures too, the I can't even get that right. But anyways, those type of worship, or those type of what do you call it, those type of rituals or ceremonies is not what I'm talking about. The Wiccans, there you go, that's what I was thinking about, the Wiccans. But now look, check this out. Native Americans, indigenous people of this land, had the ability, right, had the ability to have this advanced, what's that, what would you call it, technology, would you call it what's that, intelligence, what would you call it? You know, today's words cannot describe what is really is seen here. The best way we can describe it is the Most High's intervention, the Most High Spirit, the Most High science. This is the Most High science. Okay, I'm not talking about the science that we see when we go to school or when we read in a book about science. I'm not talking about that kind of science. I'm talking about the Most High science, because when He created this world, right, He created according to His laws, according to a certain purpose, a certain degree, and the creation and the creatures and everything that He created is the pinnacle, right? It's the very top. It's the very best, because He announced it as it being good. Now, being the best and being the good, being the pinnacle of all His creation, of course, He will give us wisdom and knowledge and understanding, just like what He did with Adam in Genesis when He told Adam to be the caretaker of his garden. Okay, now remember that. I've always said that we, the indigenous people, we have been assigned to be caretakers of his creation, and we always carry that belief within us. And part of His creation are human beings, right? That's why in One Nation, One Power, we don't discriminate, because it's about the spirit of that person. And when I go into the lesson, I'm gonna bring a lot of it out. All right. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you some more, because think about it. We were the first one to do brain surgeries, right? It said that even before Columbus came, we had a writing system, a perfect math system, where the indigenous people were the ones to use the number zero, right? And it was because of them, today's medical, right? The medications that are being given out today was because of the knowledge and the wisdom that the indigenous people have. And I'm not, when I say indigenous, I'm not just talking about people that look like me, right? I'm talking about so-called Mexicans. I'm talking about so-called blacks, and even Caucasian people, so-called white, right? Because there ain't no such thing as black, and there ain't no such thing as white. There's only human beings, because whoever created these races was not created by the Most High. Whoever created the identification of races, of what certain people are, is not by the Most High. Yes, He called us tribes. He called us family, and that's what we are. We're a family, going all the way back to the time of Adam and Eve, all the way back to Noah, back to Ham, Shem, and Japheth, being family. That's what we're promoting here. All right, let me play this some more. And see, and this is going to bring out everything, man, because what you're just mentioning right now about how having the cure for cancer, right, and different cures, even like aspirin, right? Why we never got recognized, man? You know what I mean? Why we never got recognized in that? Why did they consider us to be primitive? Barbaric, savage. Being what's that? Well, the correct terms are native, right? Being natives, right? Well, you know what? And that's the thing. There's a difference between the good medicine and bad medicine, and I'm going to show you too. I'm going to go ahead and play this some more, and just be just listen, man. And you can check this out on your own time. All right, it's called Native American Rich History. I think it was with medicine or something like that. Let me play this, man.
Cancer and other diseases in use today that are based on medicines originally developed by indigenous people.
One of the plants, common plants that was used in the pharmacopoeia of traditional healers was the yew tree. And that bark of yew tree has also been used in breast cancer treatment because that's where the active ingredient of Taxol is taken from that plant.
Carrie Lake. She's an election denier. Arizona has lots of problems, but after our fraud that cost the taxpayers.
Okay, I'm using
History
YouTube.
is like Netflix,
All right.
just for history fans.
Yeah, I'm using YouTube, so some of these ads gonna pop up. Just never mind them, man. I'm not trying to promote no one to vote for certain people, man. So just bear with me, man.
With exclusive history documentaries covering some of the most famous people and events in history just for you. From uncovering ancient Neolithic cultures to the dawn of the space race, History Hit has hundreds of exclusive documentaries with unrivaled access to the world's best history stories. And it's not just documentaries either. We have a network of incredible history
Of the Americas combined herbology with spiritual care.
When people used them traditionally, they would be used in a complex with prayers and ceremony. And you can't underestimate the power of ceremony.
Okay, right there. You heard what he said, right? They mix the mixture of prayer and ceremony, right? When they use their medicines, okay? Now, I wanna bring something out even in the Third Testament that will actually kind of back that up. You know, that will back up what he just said because there's a certain reverence. There's a certain reverence you give the Most High when you're working with the Most High, when you're working for the Most High. So you always got to give him his praise, right? When Christ healed the people in the scriptures, right? He said, "My Father in heaven," right? He always gave knowledge to the Father. He always gave that healing power to the Father and his doctrine to the Father. Like these words are not mine, but they're my Father who sent me. He always acknowledged the Father, and that's one thing that indigenous people had done. Right? We had done that in a good manner at one time. I would say at one time because today indigenous people are not the same indigenous people that were in the past. Okay, because a lot of our native people, indigenous people, strayed away from that pure thought, that pure thinking. That's why even in the Hopi prophecy says that we have to go through the time of purification, being purged. In the book of Daniel, it talks about us being made pure, being made white, right? Well, let me just go ahead and grab some scriptures real quick. Now let's go. I'm going to go to the book of Daniel just so I can bring that out. Because I don't want anybody that comes on this channel and say, well, you know what? All he did was just talk and didn't bring out no scriptures. So I'm going to bring out some scriptures. This is Daniel. I'm going to go into chapter 11. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to go to verse 35, 11 and 35. Okay. This is Daniel chapter 11 and verse 35. And some of them of understanding shall fall to try them and to purge and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. So this time is appointed for our people that come to this wisdom and this knowledge, whether they will increase and be purged, be made white, be elevated to that godhood, to that spiritual hood that you're supposed to be walking in, or you will fall because you lack the understanding or lack the spirit of the Most High, who's supposed to be bringing you forward to the Most High's wisdom, into His knowledge. And we're going to go into more of that because there's a certain way that the Most High cultivate His people. And the Most High always referred to us as being olive trees, or being trees. When Christ put mud on the blind man's eyes, or spit in the mud, put on his eyes, and he told the blind man, "What do you see?" And he said, "I see men walking around like trees." Then or what, he's spitting his eye again and says, "Tell me now, what do you see?" Right? Well, see, that's the thing. The Most High in Christ always referred to us as being, like his plants, his trees, something that he created, and that's an indigenous concept too. Because Hopi people, we always refer to our corn as children, and even, I mean, every indigenous people, even like all the way to the East Coast, the three sisters, referring to them as the three sisters. That's the corn, the bean, and the squash, right? And everything that you see indigenous, you can see the same, correlation or the same relationship between biblical teaching and understanding. Okay, let me go back to this. Let me go back to this. I'm just gonna play this real quick, and I'm gonna get into the lesson, man. All right.
Brain surgery was being practiced throughout the ancient world as far back as 7,000 years ago.
Seven
In both
thousand
North
years
and
ago.
South America, thousands of skulls with evidence of surgical treatment have been found, which demonstrates that this specialized medical practice was widely used to treat injuries and sickness. The precision of these operations and their high success rate is evidence of advanced surgical skills by indigenous people.
You hear
The
that? High
archaeological evidence
success
makes
rate.
clear, from mummy bundles in Peru to excavated burials in Mesoamerica, that cranial trepanning, or the surgical removal of bone plates from the skull for the purposes of brain surgery, or the surgical removal of tumors and the relief of blunt force trauma, was a reality.
It was very common. You find skulls in archaeological sites here on the coast, and they've obviously done trepanation, and the person survived because there's been healing around the scars of the bone.
In a survey of over 10,000 crania with evidence of trepanning, it is clear from the surgical practices that were conducted that over 70% of the individuals who had suffered blunt force trauma and that had the blunt force trauma relieved by virtue of cranial trepanning survived. You might say, well, yes, you have 70% of some 10,000 crania showing healing, osteitis as we call it. But what does that mean? If you look at it from the perspective of forensics and osteology, it was a practice engaged in when you were dealing with the potential death of a casualty of blunt force trauma or other illnesses. The Inca emperor would have the equivalent of 6 physicians carry his litter. These physicians were known as yayo, and the yayo were all trained in skull surgery. We can no longer contend that this practice does not have a medical correlation. It wasn't witchcraft. It was medical innovation that came into play thousands of years ago.
Okay, now, what's that? Summer Stone. Can you guys hear me, ma'am? I mean, she said I just got kicked off. So, are you guys still there? I'm just wondering. Hey, just shoot me a yelp or give me a war whoop. If you guys are still there, give me that warrior's whoop. Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Let me go nuts. Okay. Okay, there we go, right? All right, can you hear me now? No, I think that was it, huh? Hey, can you hear me right now? Hey, shalom, shalom. Can anybody hear me? Yeah, well, hey, man. I guess YouTube stopped me from using that video. It said something about, what's that, copyright or something? But hey, man, that's all good. I got what I want from it. So with that, shoot, I'm glad. You see what they want to do? They always want to cut a native off, right? They always want to cut the indigenous off from speaking his mind, speaking his wisdom, feeding his brothers and sisters the the spiritual medicine that we both need to survive. But not only to survive, but to grow as a family, as a unit, as a unified family, right? But see, there you go, man. They cut me off just because I was using a video that was gonna elevate my brothers and sisters, to let them know that they're more than just savages. They're more than just primitive Native American drunk Indians on the reservation, or either the black people from the ghetto or Mexican from the barrio. So, so you see what I mean? That's just how it is, man. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get into this lesson. But hopefully, those that were here and watched the first part, I don't know if they will continue to run that first part of this video, but I'm going to come out of this book right here called Atlantis in 2012. It's by Frank Joseph. Let me show you that right here. You got it? Frank Joseph, Atlantis 2012. All right. Now, those that have watched my video, right? Those that watched my video last night will kind of get a little bit more understanding of what I'm bringing out right now. Okay? And when I was talking in that video, when I was talking about the Blue Star Kachina, right? Now, I know today when you look on the internet, when you look up Blue Star Kachina, you got NASA or you got other, you know, I'm not gonna say anything bad about them, but you got people that are not really from the reservation, from Hopi Res, talking about the Blue Star Kachina, right? And they always want to show you a little dot in the sky or a light just moving back and forth like this and like that, and they call that the Blue Star Kachina, right? But I'm going to go into this book, and last night I told you about what the word Kachina means, and the correct pronunciation for Kachina is Katina, right? So that's how we say it, Katina. And what it really means is the bringer of life, to be Katin, to be Katina. So as us being raising up in the Hopi Res, we have to go to the Kiva. When we reach a certain age, we go into the Kiva, and then we get initiated to the manhood. Then we get initiated again to the Kachinas, the bringer of life, and that's what that represents. But I'm gonna read right here in this book on page 90. It says this: the Hopi Indians of the American Southwest likewise tell of four worlds, right? And that's what I said last night, that the Hopi believes that we've been through worlds. Sorry, four worlds. Now, this world that we're living in right now is called, they say that we're in the stage or in the world of the animal, okay? Because we got to learn, as what we are right now as being animals, because animals don't have that higher knowledge as spiritual beings, okay? Now, with that, just with that, if you got the third testament, okay? If you got the third testament with that knowledge of what I just now said about being in the fourth world and being as animals, okay? We're going to go into the third testament and see if this is actually written somewhere else other than the oral tradition and the oral stories of the Hopi people. Now, this is the third testament. I'm in page 270. It's chapter 50, and I'm going to start at verse 29. Now, check this out. Okay, verse 29. So there you have men resembling the beasts, resembling the beast. Now, this is not talking about the beast that you read in the Bible where it's talking about the kingdom. He's talking about there are men out there resembling the beast, right? Giving complete free reign to their passion. So you're giving free reign to your compassion, meaning that you're just doing whatever feels good, whatever feels right. You're letting yourself be consumed by that compassion. If it's drugs, alcohol, woman, if it's whatever floats your boat, that compassion is his. Because you act like beasts, you have given free reign unto that compassion, right, or unto that passion. Let me read it again, verse 29. So there you have men resembling the beasts, giving complete free rein to their passion, feeling hatred for their fellows, feeling hatred for their fellows, thirsting for blood, and pretending to turn their fellow peoples into slaves. No, not I messed up right there. It says and wait, what yeah, okay, it says to turn their fellow people into slaves. Now you see that? Now these are people acting like animals. And in my last video, I talked about as an animal, you must kill to survive. The lion must kill the deer in order to eat. As us men, we have to take things from this world just to survive. But as an animal, right? You don't have that you don't have that consciousness as a spiritual being, because all you are is just an animal. In the Third Testament, it talks about the same thing, about how the understanding of a man is just like a beast. And this is the fourth world. Then once we go into the fifth world, that's the what you call the evolution, or that's the transfiguration of that animal, that beast of a man, being into turning into a spiritual being, having that spiritual enlightenment, knowing that he's a spirit, that he doesn't have to kill, he doesn't have to hate his fellow man. Just like animals, you know how animals, are territorial, right? They kill each other for the territory, right? They kill each other for anything, And as men, we have became just like beasts of the field. But that's what the Hopi tradition, the Hopi oral tradition tells us, that because of this fourth world, because we're in the stage or the age of the animal, that we're gonna actually evolve into a spiritual being. Okay, and that spiritual awakening, that spiritual being who you are, is still coming. We're still going to be transfigured. Right now we're barely getting to the understanding of who we are. We haven't developed ourselves fully into that spiritual self, because you know how many times the scriptures tells us to be in the spirit, to walk in the spirit, right? And what's the first word that you read when it's talking about walking in the spirit? It's love, right? Love. But see, as a beast, you don't have that love. You're only doing things that are well, how can you say that is just natural to an animal. That this animal, all he's doing is just living just to survive every day. And even Christ, he made mentions of it, but he made a parable making mentions of an animal, saying that a fox have no den, right? And what else he says? The birds, they don't build no barns, right? So when you think about that concept, animals, they're not trying to what's that? Get further advancement in this world. All they're doing is just doing just enough to survive, and then raise their young and survive again another year. You know. But with that, let me go further. I'll just go ahead and read out verse 30. If any believe that my doctrine might have, wait, if any believe that my doctrine might cause the mortal man or the mortal fall of man, truly I must tell you that you err greatly. To prove this to the skeptics in the ignorance of this time, and I will allow them to harvest the fruit of their science, and to eat of it until they have their fill, until confession arise from their spirit, saying, Father, forgive us. Only our power hath halt the forces that we have recklessly unleashed. Now, pay attention to that right there, because that's saying a lot. This is talking about repentance, right? But listen to what it's saying right here. Only your power can halt the forces that we have recklessly unleashed. Now, this is going into all that stuff we're going to be bringing out about the science of men and about what we just saw about the science of Native Americans or the indigenous people, how we had that unity or had that connection with the Most High in order to have the knowledge and the wisdom to use his creation, his plants for our healings. But not only through that, but also through the prayers that we get, the praises and the prayers that we give to the Most High. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read more from this book, and I'm going to show you some. Okay. Now I'm over here, back in the page 90 of this. The what's that? Atlantis in 2012. Okay, it says the Hopi Indians of the American Southwest likewise tell of four worlds or ages, all ending in natural disaster. Right? All ending in natural disaster, instigate by the imbalanced behavior of humankind. There we go. The imbalance of the behavior of humankind. Now, this is all Hopi teaching. They predict a day of purification, just like what I read in the book of Daniel, Daniel chapter 11, right? Where it talks about the day of purification. Right now, we're in the age or the world of the animal where we don't have that consciousness of being humankind or being human beings. Okay, they predict a day of purification when Saskahu, the Kachina dancer in the plaza. Okay, this is going to the prophecy saying that the Kachina dancer the Kachina who dances in the plaza and remove his mask. In other words, modern civilization will be scattered as the blue star appears in the sky. In the Hopi language, Kachina, or literally the bringer of life, reference to anything in the natural world or cosmos, including natural phenomena, whether good or evil, as Hopi Nation. Okay, talks about the guy Dan. Now I'm gonna go a little bit further. Okay, that's what I want. That's all I want. And see, that's the thing. When the prophecy of the Blue Star Kachina is told by someone outside of the Hopi reservation, they really have no understanding of what they're talking about because you must be able to speak the language to understand the prophecy. So if you're talking about a Blue Star Kachina, you're talking about a Blue Star life bringer, right? And it's talking about the age of purification. Now, the Katina, which is the life bringer, right, is bringing that purification. But before that purification, there is what they said is it's a natural disasters happening before the age of purification. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that out is because let me get some more because this star, well, the blue star Kachina, right, talking about disasters coming, right, and not only that, but when we think about today's when we talk about the Mayan prophecies and about how right now we're actually seeing protons coming off from the sun, solar flares and everything of that nature, is also considered to be some of natural disasters. And it's gonna go into it. I'm gonna read right here in page 79. It says this. Give me a second. Okay, although the dot-like phenomena appears as mere spots from our perspective, 93 million miles away, they are not blemishes on the photosphere, but instead are rolling hurricanes of incomprehensible size. Wait up. I'm sorry. Okay, right here. It says the intense magnetic activity, sunspots ejecting far into space, solar flares thousands of miles long, together with the coronal mass of plasma, corona mass of high plasma charge, high energized particles. Now we're talking about the plasma rays that are coming out the sun, right? Now I'm going to skip a little further because this is what it talks about too. Okay, what up? I'm sorry, I kind of got this all over the place. Now, right here, now it goes back to the same thing. Okay, now this is the Mayans and the Hopi prophecies, always talking about the same thing. Right here, it says researchers speculate that the bioelectronic fields of many creatures is directly influenced by the sun. Right. So right here, it's saying that the researchers, their speculation that the bioelectronic fields of all the creatures are directly influenced by the sun. Okay, now listen to this. If so, modern science and ancient mythicism begin to complement each other's and apply no less well to the well to the close of the Mayan calendar on December 21st, 2012. And that's what I'm getting into, because we know that the Mayan calendar is ending, and because of its ending, we know that natural disasters are going to happen because of that event. But also the Hopi people know about that event happening because even they themselves have had different prophecies foretelling that the world will be ending, or the new world, well, a new world, this world will be ending and a new world will be coming, which is the fifth world or the fifth age. Okay. Now, right here is talking about how that every creature have been directly influenced, right, by the sun. Now, you got to really think about that. If the Most High looked at us as like plants, as animals, because even right here, when I read a little bit further, there's actually a biologist, a marine biologist. He's talking about the river or the lake trouts, that their spawning pattern has diverted, or they have been recalculated according to the Earth axis. I mean, that's just something I'm just throwing in there if you're interested in that. But our biological neurons is actually linked with the sun. Okay, now I'm getting into something that a lot of people might not understand, but I'm gonna read a little bit further. Okay, right here it says our sun also change its magnetic polarity every 11 years. Okay, well, don't really listen to the 11 years, because it's talking about every 11 years the polar capsules of the sun changes or it shifts, and that goes into the where I was talking about the trout. With the trout, their spawning patterns, it changes or it rotates to where it aligns with the polar what do you call it, the polarity of the sun. Okay, but I want to get to this part right here. It says interfacing with Earth's own magnetic field to cause worldwide breakdowns in all forms of electronic communication. Right, it's talking about breakdowns of the world's electronic communication. But disruption is not confined to radios and television. It's talking about, okay, just because of these solar flares are hitting the earth and is breaking down all forms of electronic communication, but it says it's not just specific to radios and television. Check this out. It says this. It says that the what's that? Parapsychologicalists par, parapsychologicalists have traced a correlation between the solar flips and upsurges of emotional dis- disturbance to human behavior. Okay, because of this flare or these solar flares hitting the earth, not only affecting the communication like from radios, television, even the power grid or anything like that, but it's also affecting the animals where their spawning on migration is changing. But not only in that, but also in the behavior of the human beings. Okay, and I think Ayil brought this out like about a few months ago, where it's talking about the mass injections from the sun, whether or not if you're sealed in the Most High's truths as righteousness, you're gonna grow in that, or either if you've been backsliding and been in unrighteousness, you're gonna be sealed in that same unrighteousness. See, we have a direct connection with the Most High's creation, no matter what. He created that sun to be good. And I don't know if any of you guys read the Apocalypse of Paul, where even the moon said, These people sin against you. They talk about you. Can I go down there and destroy them? But the Most High held him back. And even the Son will speak, saying that these people do not honor you. They don't worship you, but they worship me. It says, can I go down there and destroy them? Now, the sun, the stars, the moon, the plants, the waves, the water, everything that the Most High has created has a purpose. And that is the Most High science. And that science is for you to have that spiritual evolution of knowing who the Most High is. Because when you read Romans chapter 1, right? When you read Romans chapter 1, let me get this real quick. Okay, when we go over here to Romans chapter 1, I don't know, you can probably start like what? At verse 19. Okay, this is Romans chapter 1, and I will start from 19. It says this, because that which may be known of God is manifested in them, for God has shown it unto them. For the invisible thing of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power, the Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when we know God, they glorify him not as God, neither were thankful, because they were vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. Now, take that into consideration. Being vain in our thought, right? And it's talking about, even right here, it says that with the creation of the world that are clearly seen, talking about the plants, the moons, the stars, everything. Even though we have this as evidence that the Most High does exist, that our thoughts has become vain, empty. Our thoughts has become our thought has become useless, because in order to look at the Most High's creation, the human being, for some reason, and I'm going to get into it, has to define his creation through science, through the elements of what is already there. But the Most High said, no, I created this for you to let you know that I do exist. This is the Godhead of who I am, the creator. I created the stars, the moon, the sky, the water, the plants, the sand. I created all these things. And let's go further. Okay, verse 22, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of the corruptible God into the image like the corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and creepy things. Whereas God also had gave them up to uncleanliness through the lust of their own heart, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Okay, 25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. Now we all know that verse, especially coming out of Christianity, right? We all know that verse. And we all heard that at one time or another. And we all can agree that yes, the things that God created is to manifest his Godhead, that he is in control of everything. Yes, we know that. And we know that our thoughts are vain, thinking that we can be, and create and invent things and call ourselves gods, right? Now, let me get some. Okay. Now, there's also one thing I want to just throw out there. This is talking about the Hopi, another Hopi belief. Okay, wait, let me find it real quick. Okay, right here. Now, the reason why I brought this out too is because it's talking about the Atlantis, right? The Atlanteans, right? And the Hopis, they have, I mean, they're the elders have knowledge that goes far back. Okay, they go back to the time, because just like the video I showed last night, it talked about how the generation or the world before us were very intelligent, they had technology, and all these things. And because of that technology, that world was destroyed because they were abusing the things that they invented and the things that we were using, and that was the witchcraft of those inventions. Now, that world was destroyed by water. Of course, we know it through the biblical teaching that we have, but also I'm going to read something right here from the Hopi, I guess, the Hopi version of it. Now it says this. Okay, the Hopi version of the deluge stage in part. Down on the bottom of the sea lies all the proud virtue and the flying, and this is a Hopi word. It's called patu wait pavuta wait pavuwata, and the worldly treasure corrupted with evil. And these people who in found no time to sing praises to the Creator from the top of their hills. Now it's talk right here. It's talking about the Hopi version of the deluge, right, of the flood. That at the bottom of the water resides all the proud virtue. Talking about all the haughtiness of heart, right? The hatred, the what's that? The arrogance, the ambitious. All these people that were furthering themselves in technology and invention. And right here, this flying. I can't even say this, man. But what? Wait, but but anyways, this is like how can I say? It's a it's like a basket. Okay, it's a basket, and it also described as a gourd. You know, like a rattle is a gourd, right? And it said that back in the old days, in the ancient time, that they were able to see this basket fly. Not only that, but also to see a gourd fly. All right, a gourd is like a melon, right? It said they were able to fly and get inside that gourd and fly off to different parts of the world or even the galaxy. Now, people at that time, how would they know something like that exists? You know, but these are the stories that were passed down and said because of that technology and those inventions, that's why the world was destroyed. And also one more thing in the Hopi believe that they believe that, you know, what a perfect Hopi, right? Now being Hopi is it's like, how can I say, it's like being righteous, right? So if you're Hopi, that means you're righteous. You're a peaceful person with all things. That's what Hopi means. So before and this is the thing, um when I was talking about getting initiated to different society, you know, you get manhood, then you go to Kachina, then the next step is Hopi. You become a Hopi when you start tying feathers for all of God's creation, okay? But to be Hopi is to have a good understanding and to be peaceful with everything, okay? But see, right here it says to be a perfect Hopi, or a perfect Hopi was able to plant a seed in the ground and then sing his songs, his praise song, thanking the Most High 4 times in a day. And at the end of the day, he was able to reap the fruits off the tree or reap the fruits, the crops of whatever he planted. Now, that's another Hopi oral tradition or belief. Okay, and the reason why I'm bringing that out is because when you think about Adam and Eve, right? And this is all going back to that time, Adam and Eve, in the time of Enoch, before Noah came over. Now, they said that the people were able to do that. Now, I'm thinking, like, where did the Hopis ever come up with that kind of thinking, or where does that story goes back to? The only place that it can take me back to is the time of Adam, when he was in the garden, and how everything just grew and everything was good. In the When you read about the book of Adam, it never tells you that he had to harvest or had to plow the field and plant his seeds to make it grow and then harvest from it. Adam didn't have to labor. You know, all he had to do was listen to the Most High and take care of his garden, his creatures, to have dominion over the fish of the seas and the fowls of the air. Now, when I think about that, I think about what the Hopi people were talking about. That we didn't even have to go out there and cultivate the ground, get it ready. He said all we had to do was plant that seed and sing, and then and the Creator will bless it, will make it grow. Now that makes you think, if the Hopi people said that they had been here for centuries, that they were the first people here, and that if this is the land of milk and honey, right? And if this is the land of bountiful, wouldn't you think that what I just described is bountiful enough for us to keep that belief system going and to try to reconnect with our ancient past, right? Of who we are as being spiritual beings and not, animals, being being savage, you know what I mean? But not only that, but the reason why I say that too is because when you think about Christ, right? When he went to the fig tree and he wanted something to eat because he was hungry, right? And instead of blessing it, he cursed it and it weathered up and dried up. Now that made me think, because when you think about this, that if we had that ability, Christ right there in that moment, he was demonstrating two different things because he was the Adam that was to come, right? The first man to come. So with that thinking, Christ, I'm pretty sure he could have made that tree blossom and bloom and then bear fruits. But instead, that tree was weathered because when we read scripture, especially Jeremiah 23, when it talks about the earth is mourning because of the iniquities of the people, because of our sins. Now, that's also a demonstration showing that our people, we don't have it right no more. That's why even right here where it talks about how we're supposed to confess to the fathers, that we confess to our Father, which is the Most High, to forgive us, not only because, well, what does it say? Right here, verse 30. It says, confess confess arise from our spirit, saying, Father, forgive us. Only your power can halt the forces that we have recklessly unleashed. Because through our iniquities, through our sin, we have unleashed this unforgivable force that is destroying everything. But at the same time, coming to the age of purification and opening that godness that's within us, and understanding his creation was created for us to go back to the Father and to be that to be that minister, because he calls us, ambassadors, right? And that we are, a vessel of the Most High, speaking and using his words, not only for each other's, but for his whole creation. How do you think we're gonna, rebuild everything back? How do you think we're gonna rebuild and replant every life form, every tree, every creature back to its existence if we don't have that power? Now, the reason why I bring that up, because I know it's like indigenous people, right? We always had that teaching, but that teaching can only take you so far if you don't have Christ, if you don't have the Messiah, because it talks about the time of purification. It talks about us repenting. And we got to come to understand that and realize that as indigenous people, we have a great civilization here. Yes, a lot of the things that we have, that the Most High has given us wisdom and knowledge to understand, and that this society nowadays are actually using that wisdom and that technology that we had back then with our ancestors. Just because we had that doesn't mean that we just stay, stay that base man, don't have a base mentality, but that we can grow and evolve into that spiritual being that who we are. Now, I mean, there's a lot that I wanted to bring out, but I'm going to read some of this in chapter 50. Okay, let me get some real quick, man. Now, since we're talking about medicine, okay, I'm going to read this real quick. This is chapter 50, verse 41. It says this: the doctors shall also be called. I will ask them, what have they done with the secrets of health, which I revealed to them, and I entrusted them? I will ask if they have truly felt the sufferings of others, if they have learned to descend to the most humble bed, to heal with love the one who suffers? What will be his response of those who have attended greatness, comfort, luxury through the suffering of their fellow men, a pain that they were not always able to relieve? All of them will question themselves within their heart, and before the light of their consciousness, they will have to answer to me. So there we go. This is verse 41. It's talking about the doctor who actually got this wisdom, right? It says, who revealed unto them the secret of health, of healing. Now, at this time, Christ has said, when they come unto me, what's going to be their excuse? You know, did you truly felt the sufferings of other, right? Or did you just send yourself to the most humble bed and to heal with love and with the one who suffers, right? And then right here it says, what will be their response of those who have attended greatness? Because right now, when you think about, I always thought about this, man. But the doctors today, right? These doctors today who have big houses, who have the six-figure job, and then you got these other doctors that go into the third world countries and do the same medication, right? Know the same things that the doctors here know, but they're out there doing it in a way of compassion, of love. Now, right here it's talking about good doctors and bad doctors. Now, are you one of those doctors that go out there and actually feel the suffering of your people and try to be a healer? You know, so it's the same thing with indigenous people. What you see, the video that I just showed you, because the medicine men, right? I'm going to talk about the good medicine men, all right, or the good medicine, or the holy man. I'm going to say the holy man. Okay, the holy man, he was supposed to be humble of all the tribe. He had to show love to all the tribe. He was not supposed to be rich. He was not supposed to get any gain from the people. And actually, they were supposed to be like the most meek person. And when they ate, they only ate of what the people gave them. Because from their healing, when they heal somebody, they will usually pay back with food or with clothing and that kind of thing, you know? But today's doctors don't do the same thing. You know, like right here, it just says, you know, they have okay, right here it says, what will be the response of those? This is talking about a doctor who has everything. What will be the response of those who have attained greatness, right? Comfort and luxury through the suffering of their fellow man, a pain that they were not always able to relieve. Now think about that. Now, when the Most High gives doctors, holy men, the knowledge of medicine, it is supposed to heal. We're not supposed to get gain from it. And when you think about what it's saying right here, where it says, and the suffering of their fellow man, how many of these pharmaceuticals that we have today, right? The pharmaceutical stuff that we have today, that you have to go and get treated time after time after time after time again, and never fully being healed, right? And it also talks about and pain that they were not always relieved. Now, we just watched that video where it talked about how the indigenous people had the knowledge and the wisdom of aspirin. Just think about it. How many generations had they had that knowledge of aspirin and they never got rich? And we're still not getting rich off that information that we gave to the today's Western medicine. But it's the pharmaceutical who is making a profit from that. So you see the difference between those that were chosen from the Most High and those that who are not, right? Because even right here, it says, even though you achieve greatness, right? Greatness and comfort and luxury through the suffering. You know, as a doctor, of course they take that, what's that, Hippocratic oath or whatever, you know, but that's only to their own fellow man that they take that oath to. You know, a doctor will not do a surgery just because he felt love and compassion for a patient. Well, not many doctors that I know of, Because even right here, let me read this again, verse 41. The doctor shall also be called. I will ask them, what have they done with the secrets, right? What have you done with the secrets of health, which I revealed to them, right? And I entrusted them. So, see, as what I'm saying right now, this information is coming from the Most High, and these doctors are not doing what they're supposed to. And the reason why I'm bringing this out like this is because even right now, with the solar flares, the what's that the mass ejection from the solar flare, coming in, and then what it said, what did it say? Um, it's changing our biological behavior, right? Our biological behavior of who we are. So whatever we have inside of us is gonna be, is gonna be elevated. So if you're believing in God and you're having God's wisdom, your spirit is being elevated to that next level in godhood. But if you're just like another beast of the field, you're gonna stay that same beast, or he's gonna elevate even more into that even be even beastier, I guess you could say. But hey, man, let's well, there you go. We got someone here. We got George talking about the aspirin. Yeah, it's not well. He's putting a lot of stuff out there. That's right. And see, and even like right here, he I'm not saying anything bad about you, George, but I'm gonna say peyote. Okay, now we got and okay, so let's put peyote, marijuana, and what else? These what do you call it? Gypsy seed or local weed, you know, that grows out there naturally. Now there are some things that will pull, right, that we will use, and we'll use it for our healing, but there are some things that we're not meant to use, like these gypsum seeds. I had a friend. Well, I, I haven't seen him in a long time, but we have this buddy, we call him OD, because he overdosed. He overdosed on these gypsum seeds, and they're like little pots of seed that grows wild out here in Arizona. And he wanted to get high, and these seeds will get you high, make you hallucinate. And he, you know, they usually give them to how does it say? They usually give them to animals because they want them to I forgot what they usually use them for, but they used to give them to the animals so they can eat them and then and get their strength back or something like that. But anyways, he took a couple and he wasn't feeling any effects from it, so he took a couple more, and he took like almost a fistful of these Egyptian seeds. He said, "Oh, it's not even affecting me." But little did he know, little did we know, that a little bit like an hour later, he just flipped out for real, and he had no control over his body whatsoever for a whole month. Okay, even though those gypsy seeds were used for medical purposes, but it was not to be abused in that way. Now, when he took those, like I said, he OD over them. They had to pump it out of his stomach, but he didn't have no control over his body, for like almost a whole month. His jaw would just drop and he couldn't close it. He couldn't close his jaw. His tongue would just stick out of his mouth. His head would tilt to the side and he'll just run in circles and circles. His arm would be twitching, his leg would be twitching. I mean, it was crazy watching him because he was a good friend, and we actually named him OD after that. But it's crazy. Yeah, it was a crazy moment. But see, even like that, even with peyote, uh, I know drink brewing it and drinking the juice, it has medicinal medicine. But if you misuse it, right, you can hallucinate, trip out, and you'll never be the same. And that's the thing with indigenous teaching, because right now I can actually say, I just pray to the Most High and ask for my healing. But the reason why I'm bringing this out just like this with the medicines is because I want to show our people that we are a special people, right? We are a spiritual people. We're intelligent people, and that we cannot just, you know, continue to put ourselves down because of what we learn in school of us being barbaric, primitive, savage, or any of that. You know, we are a spiritual people. We have a spiritual connection to the Most High. And now with the solar flares coming off the sun, that is actually heightening our spiritual being because we got a relationship with the Most High's creation. You know what I mean? Because when you think about this, the Most High created everything for the goodness of His creation. Created the water for us to drink. Created the air for us to breathe. Created for the sand for us to be, to be planted on the earth. Created the sun so we can see light. Created the moon so we can have rest. He created these things for His purpose, for our purpose. Right? Let me go a little bit further into some of these things, man. Okay, we talked about the doctors, right? I'm gonna read this right here, man. Okay, verse 31. I read verse 41, we'll go to 31. It says this: human science has reached the limit to which man can take it with materialism. But human science has reached the limit to which man can take it with spiritualism or materialism. But when inspired by the spiritual idea of love, goodness, and perfection, science can go much further than it already has. Now, this is coming out of the Third Testament. It says, if we have these things already in play, love, right? If we have love, goodness, and the perfection, he said that science, okay, the science of God's science of His creation will go further than what we already have known or what we ever have known. There you go. Science can go much further than it already has. Because right now, we see cars as being, a great invention. We see airplanes as being a great invention. But when we seen that video with the Hopi prophecies, when they talk about that bug being on the black road, and then being kicked off and then flying in the air, those were signs for the Hopis to let them know that the shaking was happening, the shaking of the world. From going one world to the next world, or this age to the next age. You know what I mean? Being highly, how can I say, being aware of the Most High's prophets. Telling us what's going to happen. But let me read some more, man. Verse 32: the proof that your scientific progress has not had the love of one another as its motive is a moral degeneration of the people. Now think about this. Moral degeneration of the people. Right? Let me read that again. The proof of your scientific progress, right? The proof of the scientific progress of today, right? This is the proof. Has not had the love of one another as its motive. This, right? As its motive is the moral degeneration of the people. Now we can put a lot of things and fit it right into that scripture right there, because even the native people try to warn, the inventors of today not to do certain things, like not to dig the uranium from Mother Earth, right? Not to run the black snake through Mother Earth, because it's going to pollute the water. The uranium is going to pollute the people, and also Mother Earth is going to fight back because we don't take from the Mother Earth. Right? Or we don't take from the earth. We don't take from the Most High creation, because that science, that invention is proof, right? Is proof for the degeneration of our people. What's the degeneration of our people? That love, that peace of being brought down to a beast, just like we read in 21, that where men have resembled the beast. All we want to do is devour each other's because of the hatred that we have for each other's and the thirst for blood. Now, let me read a little bit further. And also, when you think about the inventions that they created, the television is one good thing. And I can say I'm guilty of that, because I like watching movies with my family, which is not a bad thing. But then what also that entertainment brings, right? It brings a whole nother spirit, right? It can bring fornication into your house. It can bring alcoholism into your house. It can bring what else? Idolism into your house. It can bring covetousness in your house, right? That television can bring all these certain spirits into your house. And that is the degeneration of the people, because now you got people not wanting to leave the television. You got people who look at the television because they want to feed their spirit of pornography, lust, idolatry. Women want to go to the TV and see what they can buy. See, oh, that looks good. I want to buy that. Oh, that's a handsome man. I would like my husband to be like him. Or any one of those things. Not only that, but like the internet. The internet is good if we use it for a good purpose. Like right now, I'm teaching my brothers and sisters. But then, of course, you can still do the same thing when you do on your television with all these degenerating things. So when we think about it, the degeneration of our people is because of the development of the science, because it was not created in the Most High Spirit. Now, this is when you read chapter 50, it talks about that. The science, the Most High science, and man's science. If you read all of chapter 50, it'll talk about it. It'll make a lot more sense of what I'm talking about. Now, okay, the proof of your scientific progress has not had the love of one another as its motive. Is the moral degeneration of the people. What's that? The fact. Hey, I'm not even trying to pronounce that. And the hunger and the misery that reigns everywhere. It is arrogant or ignorance of the spiritual. It is ignorance of the spiritual. Okay? It is ignorant of the spiritual. Why? Because it only teaches you the flesh. It only teaches you moral thought, carnal thoughts, right? Let's go further. What do you want me to say about your wise men of today? Those who provoke nature, right? Those who provoke nature, just like what I said. When the indigenous people went to Washington, D.C., the Hopi and the Navajos, when they went to Washington, D.C., and they told them, you cannot mine uranium from our mountains. You cannot take the black coals from our mountains. You cannot slurry your coal and use our aquifer, the Navajo and Hopi aquifer, to slurry down coal to Nevada and California for the people to have electricity. This don't make no sense. You're provoking nature. You're provoking the elements of the Most High. You're taking the creation of the Most High and using it, right? Is using it for your own greatness, your own advancement, your own luxury, your own comfort. And what does it say right here in the very beginning? In verse 32, it talked about the proof of your scientific progress had not had the love of one another as its motive. So it was never in the intentions of the settlers or the pilgrims or whatever you want to call it, developers. It was never in their motive love was never in their motive, because they didn't care who they were hurting when they were doing this. And not only that, because this is God's people. Yes, it's God's people, and they were hurting them because a lot of the Navajos got exposed to uranium when they were digging in those mines, and they didn't have no PPE for that. A lot of them didn't get no checks for being exposed. And I mean, it just goes on and on. Let me go further. Okay, what do you want me to say about your wise men of today? Those who provoke nature and defy the forces and the elements, making the good appear bad. There shall be great pain for having picked and eaten the unripe fruit of the tree of science, when it could have matured with only love. There you go. Mature with love. Now, when you think about that, mature with love, that's what God had when he created the world. When he created this world, when he created you and I, he had that love, that mature love, knowing that, this people that I created, this human beings I created, I'm going to make sure that they go the right way. But when they choose to do their own will and go off into their own thinking, of course, that's what provokes all these unnecessary things that we have to encounter. But that's, I know right now, is part of our spiritual growth. Because if it wasn't for me being locked up, being on drugs, being drunk, being, going to jail here and there, being on probation, being on home arrest, whatever, man, going to counseling, paying fines, marriage counseling, having to ask my wife for forgiveness, ask my kids for forgiveness. If it wasn't for all those, I wouldn't be here today, be able to talk about the struggles that I've been through. And I know what it's going to take for you to get out of those struggles, to be, a righteous man before the Most High. I know that we have to go through that. But if we had kept the laws and have the consciousness of the Most High within us from the very beginning, we didn't have to. Just like going back to what I said about the Hopis. The Hopis who said that if you were a perfect Hopi, you were able to plant a seed in the ground, sing your song, thank the Most High. At the end of the day, you had your fruit, you had your crop that you can feed your family. But today, think about what the Most High cursed Adam, right? He said, from this day forward, right? You're gonna have to till this ground. You're gonna have to cultivate this ground. You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to eat. The only way you're gonna eat is by the sweat of your brow. When you had it in a garden, it was provided for you. I provided for you. The trees bear fruits. You were able to eat. You had water right there where it was clean enough for you to drink. But now that you have sinned and went against my laws, my statutes, and you wanted to do your own thing, this is the path you choose, and we have to go through that. But like I said, to be a perfect Hopi, that was one thing that they taught us. But also, of course, one more time, I'm just going back to what I said, that the Hopis believed, and in their oral tradition, they said that they were able, to make the basket fly, which we call titsaya, right? It's a basket that's made to, they call it a spaceship too. Not only that, but also a gourd. That gourd was able to carry people and make them travel. See, they already knew about this, and because of that, that world was destroyed because of its wickedness. Now let me go further. Verse 34. If humanity is not in harmony, there we go again. See, man, when I was reading this, I just kept on going back to what I was taught. Being Hopi, being indigenous, being a human being, being a part, right? A part, not a part, or being a part of the Most High's creation is part of being humble, showing harmony. Because how can I say this, man? Well, I'm going to just go ahead and read this. If humanity is not in harmony with the universal law that governs all creation, there shall come a lack of control that manifests itself in the force of the elements. Now check that out. Let's read that again. If humanity is not in harmony with the universal law that governs all creation, there shall come a lack of control. There shall come a lack of control that manifests itself in the force of the what? Of the elements. Now you see that it's talking about you, brothers and sisters. Just because you don't have that oneness with the Most High and you're not carrying His Spirit, that these elements out here in this world are not going to obey you. You have lack of control. You have lack of control, and that's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to that Godhood, that Adam-like, that Enoch-like, be like Christ. Like I said, that Adam-like person, that Enoch-like person, that Melchizedek-like person, that Elijah-like person. That's the kind of likeness that we should have. And that even when Paul said it, says be like Christ, be in Christ like we are in Christ. Because he walked with that authority. He had that control. He said, even the winds and the waves control him. Who is he? Right? Who is he? Who is this guy? The sons of Sceva. Yeah, Paul I know, Peter I know, Christ I know, but who are you? Who are you walking in? What image are you walking in? If you were created in God's image, which image are you walking in? What image are you talking in? What are you resembling? Are you resembling man's science, creation, saying you were formed by apes, monkeys, Now, like I said, the Hopis believe that we're in the stage of the animal, right? That all we know how to do is be a beast, right? Devouring each other's, hating our fellow man, can't get along. We have to kill to survive and conquer to survive, conquer to make a statement, make threats to be brave or whatever, you know? But the Most High is looking for that humble humility, the humble person who's ready to show humility because he is his creation. Because that's what we're walking. That's what we're walking in. We're walking in that light. Let me go further. Okay, let's go further. Okay, there shall okay, man has dismantled the atom and has okay, man has dismantled the atoms and has evolved brain well and his involved brain have that have take okay, I'm getting tongue tied right here. Man has dismantled the atoms, and his involved brain takes advantage of that discovery to obtain great power and cause death. Right? To obtain great power and cause death. I just talked about this. You know, just talking about the atom bomb, yeah. But the Hopis, before even the atom bomb was created or the nuclear bomb created, the Hopis already knew. They called it the gourd of ash, right? The gourd of ash. It said a gourd of ash will fall to the sky and block out the sun, and it will kill everything, and the cities and the villages will be on fire. Now, how did they even know this before it even happened? It's because they were in tune with the Creator, the Most High. They knew he knew that his people, right, had to know this and get themselves ready. But the thing is, of course, we have fallen short from the glory of God. Our indigenous people, our ancestors, even though they had this knowledge, had this wisdom, they still denied the true creator, the true element of his creation. Because we fall to the left side and worship his creation and fall to the left side by hating our brothers, hating our sisters, then we fell even more when we got assimilated into this system. When we started calling ourselves indigenous, natives, Americans, pledge allegiance to the flag, this and that. We became more degenerated, right? As a people, as a nation. But now, right here, I read in what's that? Last night, I read where we said that we're supposed to be a family, right? Bringing back that family. Let me get something real quick. I think it's in this book too. Just give me a second. Just give me a second, real quick, man. Okay, right here. Out of the same book, right? Out of this same book, Atlantis 2012. Now check this out. It says, "You will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth that shall fall with a great crash, and it will appear as a blue star. Very soon after this, the ceremony of my people will cease. These are the signs, and the great destruction is coming. The world will rock to and fro. There will be many columns of smoke, and fire such as white feathers shall be seen. The white man makes in his desert not far from here. You will hear of the sea turning black, and many living things dying because of it. Turtle Island could turn over 2 or 3 times, and the ocean shall join hands and meet the sky." Now that's another Hopi prophecy right there. It's talking about right what I said that the gourd of ash. It talks about right here how the world will rock to and fro, and there will be many columns of smoke and fire, such as has white feathers has seen the white. Well, okay, it's talking about how when when the columns of smoke goes up, it'll be just like white feathers. But of course, and when you read the Bible, it talks about what's that? The column of clouds, right? You know, but when you think about this, the shaking of the world going to rocking back and forth. That's the first, the third, and the fourth shaking, was which I brought out in last night's lesson. Then right here, where it talks about the sea turning black, of course we see that right now. We see oil spills here and there. How did they know? How did they know about the oil spills before it even happened? Right? How did they even know? How did they even know that they were going to be getting oil out of the ground and using it? It's because the Hopi people already had the knowledge and the knowledge of the ancient people of old times, of old past, that used this knowledge, right? That used this knowledge, and because of that, because of the inventions, and because of all that that knowledge that was presented, the world was destroyed because it lacked the love of God. Just like what we just read, how it says that you know, right here in verse 32, where it says, the proof of your scientific progress has not had the love of one another as its motive. Because people were just doing this in ancient time for their own benefit, I guess you could say, or for their own comfort, for their own luxury, for their own greatness. They were not doing it because of the advancement of mankind. Today they try to use that. Okay, this will be an advancement for mankind. When you talk about like what the electric car, solar power, some of those I'll say is a good thing because you're not you're not taking away from the creation. You know what I mean? But like other things, of course, you're destroying the Most High's creation. You're destroying the earth that He created. This is the Most High's earth, So we gotta take care of it the best we can. Okay, let me go further, man. Let me go down to shoot. I mean, there's a lot in here, brothers and sisters. I'm going to 37. And the people advance, growing growing even more in scientific knowledge. Yet I ask, what wisdom is this that the more man penetrates, the further he is from the spiritual truth, where the source and origin of life are found. See, there you go again. That's the reason. Right there is the how can I say the specific reason why the old world was destroyed is because the further they got in scientific knowledge, right? Their wisdom, right, made them go further and further away from the spiritual truth, right, where the source and origin of life are found. Because when you think about that, even till today, what's the thing that's going on now? The About women's rights, right? About abortion, right? Now they said that they could abort their baby, which our parents never thought about that. That was never in their thought. But yet, when you read the book of Enoch, it was in there how they smite the womb, right? In the book of Enoch talks about that smiting the womb. Now, right here in the third testament, it's talking about the advancement of scientific knowledge, and now it's like it's a new thing for them, to abort their babies. You know what I mean? And because of that, they're making themselves go further and further away from life, from knowing that our Creator is the one that created life, and knowing life is knowing the Creator. Not only that, but also what's that? Stem cells regeneration, stem cells. What's that? What's the others? What's the other one? Like cloning animals. GMOs. All these things, all these scientific advancement that they call advancement is actually the same thing that happened back in the past, because we know about the time of Noah where there were spicing animals, right? They were taking the Most High's creation and spicing them, right? Spicing them with man, plants, and different things. So we know that that's something that happened back then. It's the same thing that happened now. And even what I just read in here, that all those technologies, all those virtues lay at the bottom of the sea, right? Let me get that right here. The Hopi version of the deluge states in part, down on the bottom of the sea lies all the proud virtue and the flying. I can't even say this word, but batavata. I think it's batavata, and the worldly treasures corrupted with evil, and those people who found no time to sing praises to the Creator from the tops of their hills. Now that's the Hopi version of the deluge, of the flood, because of all their wicked inventions, all their wicked virtues, all their technological advancement, and not yet praising the Most High or singing to the Most High and thanking Him for His creation. Let's go further. All right. It is human science, wisdom as conceived of it in a sick world. Okay. It is human science, wisdom as conceived of it in a sick world, or in a world sick with selfishness and materialism. Okay, so the wisdom of today's science is sick with selfishness and materialism, just like what the Hopi version of the deluge is all about. That they were in wickedness, they had evil inventions, and they were in their wicked virtues. Okay, now it says, and so that the knowledge is false, and so that knowledge is false, and that science evil. Going back to the same thing, what the Hopi version of the deluge is, the flood, and we all know it according to Enoch about how it was at that time, how they discern advancement. But not only that, but when you, of course, when you go into these other stories like the Atlanteans and the Atlantis, that they were evolved civilization, highly intelligent, with the advancements of technology and all that, right? But it was destroyed. The Hopi people knew it. The biblical story tells about it. So let me go further. It is science. It is human science, wisdom as conceived of this world sick, of in this world sick with selfishness and materialism, and so that knowledge is false, and that science evil, because with it you have created a world of pain, a place in a place of light it is darkness, for it is pushing the people towards destruction. Okay, let me go further. Let me just go ahead and read it. Science is light. Light is life, strength, health, and peace. And are those things the result brought about your science? No, humanity. And that is why I tell you that while you do not permit the light of the consciousness to penetrate the darkness of your understanding, your works will never hold and elevate or spiritual principle, and shall never be more than will never be more than human works. So there you go. You're taking God out of it. But I'm gonna go ahead. Like I said, if you read this all, there's some very powerful stuff in here, man. Let me just read one more. Let me read this right here. This is on 54. It says this: my doctrine and my revelation in these times are in accordance with your elevation, or yeah, with your evolution. Let not the science be vain in his material works, or his science, for in it my revelation has always been present, as has the help of the spiritual world that inspires from the hereafter. Man is part of creation. He has a mission to fulfill, as do all creatures of the Creator. But he has been given a spiritual nature, right? Check that out. He has been given a spiritual nature and intelligence, and a personal will. So there you go. These are your descriptions, your what's that? How can I say your characteristics, right? As being human, that you have a spiritual nature, right? So that you can't be, how can I say, you can't say you are part of the creation without one of these. Because to be part of the creation of the Most High's creation, you must have a spiritual nature, the intelligence, and your own personal will. Of course, we know about that free will, right? As being part of God's creation of being human beings, and we all have that intelligence because we're constantly learning. But not only that, but the spiritual nature of ourselves, knowing that we have been created, and because we have been created, we have the intelligence to know that God exists in our world. That we know that when God brings us out of our, what's that, brings us out of our mess, out of our sins, that he is God. That we know this because it is our intelligence. It is the science of who God is. Because how else can we, and like we said this many times, so how can we, just being mortal men, be able to speak God's words, then all of a sudden you want to get baptized, you want to confess your sins, you want to get your life right, you're praying more, you're fasting, you having faith, all these things, of course. And like I said, don't get this twisted with what's that, humankind or human science, because this is a science too. God God's thing is a science too, because we're using the word science. It's only a human. How can I say that? It's only English, right? We're using English. That's how we're speaking. But science could be power. Science is understanding. Science is wisdom, knowledge. It's the truth. So all these things are part of God's science. When you're reading this right here, this chapter, when it's talking about God's science, right? And it's making a difference. It's contrasting from humankind and from man's what's that? Man's science, and there's God's science. Is contrasting those two and letting you know that God's science is always based upon His love of His creation, and because of that creation, they have a spiritual connection to the Most High. And I was gonna get into some of that in this Atlantis 2012, because when it talked about the mass injection from the sun and how it actually overloads. Okay, I'm gonna use the word overloads. It overloads. What's that? Communications. The grid. It overloads it because the capacity of what it can contain is not made to accept that overloading from the sun. But you, right? For you, humankind, God has created you to actually receive that overload and overcharge, because He created you to accept it. Now, let me see if I can find that real quick, man. Since I'm talking about it. Okay, right here it called it sunspots, right? Okay, sunspots are cooler region on the surface of the sun, which seriously disrupt electronic communication and interference with normal human thought process, right? Now check that again. Okay, the regions on the surface of the sun which seriously disrupt electronic communication and interference with normal human thought process, they discharge abnormally large concentrations of electronical charges particle. These photons these photon interference with radio, telephones, and television transmitters and the receivers, all well as okay all well as the neural network of our brains, overloading artificial and organic systems with power surges. beyond the design limit. They are they are, oh man, I'm just messing this up. Okay, let me read it again. It says sunspots are cooler region on the surface of the sun, which seriously disrupt electronical communication and interference with normal human thought process. They discharge abnormally large concentration of electronical charges particles. Okay, so the discharge from the sun, it actually, right, it actually interferes with the normal human thoughts. They discharge abnormally large concentration of electronical charged particles. These photons, right? That's what they're calling them, photons. It says these photons interfere, right? Interfere with radio, telephones, and televisional transmitters and receivers, as well as neural networks of our brains. So the networks in your brains, because think about this, your brain has a central nervous system, and within them they have these neurons, and these neurons are capable of regenerating, healing itself. So when you're working your brain, you're working your neurons inside your brains. Like if you study something and you keep on studying it, you create that mental memory, right? Muscle memory, memory. But if you don't work that like say certain things you remember, right? If you don't always keep that in thought, you will forget it because it becomes what's that? It becomes deficient. So your neuron is replacing that deficient cell in your brain, in your what's that? Your cells. So the discharge from the suns, these photons that are actually activating your brain, right? Because some people will call it third eye, right? I don't call it third eye. I just, to me, third eye is something different. I believe it's just the Holy Spirit, right? Because the third eye is always spoken as mysticism, and I really don't go into that, but I would say the Holy Spirit, which is inside you, because even Christ said, the kingdom of God cannot be observed with the eyes. It can't say that it's here, it's over there, or it's over here. The kingdom of God is within inside you. So that's where the Holy Spirit, the kingdom of God, is residing inside you. So when these photons are ejected from the sun and they're discharging you, right? Charging you, right? And let's look at this. It says these photons interfere with the radio, right? With transmissions, with the telephone, of course, and other transmissions, and the television transmitter and the receiver, as well as the neural networks of our brains, overloading, right? Overloading artificial, right? And organic systems. So we're that organic system. So this charge is overloading the artificial networks, but also the organic system, okay? With power surges beyond the design limit. They are the like. Let me read this again. In overloading artificial and organic system with power surges beyond the design limit. They were designed to withstand. So these artificial receivers, transmitters like radios, television, telephones, and what else? Receivers, they have been designed to withstand a certain limit of charge or surge. But you being an organic system that the Most High has created, you benefiting from it. Right here, what does it say? This overloading, right? Doesn't mean that you're gonna expire or your brain's gonna blow up when you overload, because all these other stuff like the computer or whatever, when you overload them, yes, they do blow up because they've been designed to hold a certain amount of charge. But because it's said that what we only use like what 10% of our brains, right? That we only use 10% of our brain, and the other 90%, what is it doing? So every time you get in that, that ejection from the sun, and is bringing those photons to the earth, you are actually increasing in knowledge and wisdom. So think about that. In ancient time, the time of Enoch, when the sun was doing what it was supposed to do, giving the people that photons every day, and they're becoming smarter and smarter, just like we are today. That's why the Hopi people knew that at one time, back in the past, when in ancient time, that the people got too smart for their own good, and the Most High destroyed the world because they got too smart for their own good. And that's how they know that right now, with all these new inventions, that people are becoming too smart for their own good and not even honoring the Creator, right? Not even using love as a motive, like we read here in the Third Testament, or even having acknowledgement of our brothers and sisters to do them good, like we read about the doctor, right? The doctor who's supposed to have a certain degree of humility to heal the sick, to be humble and visit the sick, right? To be that humble healer for the people, instead of being honored as greatness, being laid back in luxury, having all that comfort, and getting their gain off the secrets of what it says, the secret of the health of what the Most High had shared unto them or entrusted them with. So here we go, man. I mean, this is just stuff that we know as indigenous people, but not only that, but the things that we have read biblically, and not only that, but what we know scientifically, because all these information is coming out right now. Of course, when we go on the news, we're seeing that the sun is getting hotter. They're talking about global warming and all these other things. These what's that? These catastrophes with like the hurricanes, the water, and even in this book, it talks about how the elements, right? How the let me see if I can find that. They they say that all these things that are happening, it is bad. Let me see. I got it right here. Okay, verse 33. Okay, this is the Third Testament, chapter 15. This is verse 33. It says this: "What do you want me to say about your wise men of today?" Right? What do you want me to say about your wise men of today? Those who provoke nature and defy the forces and the elements, making the good appear bad, making the good appear bad, making the good appear bad. Now, it was never a bad thing for any of the indigenous people when they seen floods, because they already had their place where they reside, and they knew that the Most High was going to send the rain. And how did they knew it? Because they were in oneness with the Most High. They were always in oneness with the Most High. And just think about this. Let's take it back to the Old Testament. There's a reason why the Most High told the people of Israel, right? The children of Israel, the nation of Israel, 6 years you plant, but the seventh year you don't have to plant. But think about that. Why is it that the Most High said the seventh year you don't have to plant? And then also when you go in further, when he talks about the Jubilees, right? Now, right now, when the world is getting all the water that it can, would you say that's a sign of Jubilee? A time of new fruits, right? New things coming to life, right? So let's what was I gonna say? Okay, yeah. Even with that, when I'm talking about not the time of Jubilee, right? Or the 7 years where you can eat off the trees and off the crops that were planted a year before, right? Or the year before the seventh year. Now think about that. And that's the reason why it makes me think about what I said about how you said when I said the Hopi people, if you're a real Hopi, right? Meaning you're peaceful, in harmony, you know the creator, you're a perfect human being, that you're able to plant your seed in the beginning of the day, sing, praise the Most High, and at the end of the day, you were able to gather your crops off the tree or off the field, right? He said you were able to do that. Now it makes me think, did they also have a Jubilee that they're talking about? Because that sounds like Jubilee to me. And that also sounds like the Garden of Eden to me. Because like I say, Adam and Eve, you never hear about them having to plant or to cultivate the ground or, prepare their field for the season. No, they had the garden right there and everything was for their taking, for their eating. So it just makes me think a lot, man. let me just read one more, right? Okay, where am I at? Okay, man is part of creation. He has a mission to fulfill, as do all creatures of the Creator. But he has been given a spiritual nature, an intelligence, and a personal will, so that through this effort, right, he can obtain the development. Right, through this effort, he can obtain the development and the perfection of the spirit, which is the most elevated thing he possesses. By means of the Spirit, man can conceive of his Creator and understand his benefits, as well as admire his wisdom. Now, that's saying a lot right there, man. That's like talking with a full mouth because that's a lot to eat right there. I mean, look at that. It says, so through his efforts, he can obtain the development, right? Development, being built, being made, being purged, being made white, his development and perfecting of the spirit. See, that's why we had to go through all our mishaps, we had to suffer, man. We had to suffer in our sin. We had to, feel the uncleanliness, the dirt, the filth of our sin. We had to feel the moral decay of our sin, because if it wasn't for that, we would have not known the perfection of our spirit, right? Because it says right here we got a spiritual nature, and we have intelligence in our personal will. Our personal will got us into trouble a lot every day. For some people they're still wrestling with it. I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I know I wrestle with some of my own personal will, but I got the intelligence to know that, I can't be doing this. I know better, man. And because I know better, you know what? I'm going to use that spiritual nature and get back in tune, get back on the right path with my Creator, my Father, before he sent me down to, what, we know we don't want to be there. All right. So let's go again. Let's what does it say? Which is the most elevated thing, right? He possesses. So the only thing you can elevate in this lifetime, in this age, in this shaking, in this world, and through this ebbing of what can you say, of ebbing of awakeness, right? Because just like I mentioned, ebbing in my last video, where it talks about the wave going back and forth, back and forth. So this is the ebbing of that creation of this age coming back to us, coming back to us. Knowing who we are. We're the sons of the Most High. We are daughters and sons of the Most High God. So knowing that, we must, right, through our intelligence and through that spiritual nature, we must, you know, elevate our spirit, because that's the one thing that we can elevate, that we possess. All these things are just a facade. Being like, how can I say, being I don't know, what's some things I could say. Being rich, it's a facade, right? Being having man's wisdom is a facade. All these things. All these things people think of it being great in the eyes of the Most High ain't nothing. If you possess the fruits of the Spirit, to Him that's greatness, because that's the elevation of your spirit. That's that spiritual nature that you have, and you did it because your personal will, and with your intelligence, you actually were able, right? Able to develop, right? To develop, and not only that, but perfect your spirit, to perfect your spirit in that nature, because that's what the Most High created you to do, to give Him praise and honor in all things. Let's go further. Which is the most elevated thing He possesses. By the means of the Spirit, man can conceive of his Creator and understanding His benefit, as well as admire His wisdom. Now, see, there you go. That's why, in old times, the medicine man, they were supposed to be the humble people in the village. They weren't supposed to have no hate. They're not supposed to have no grudge. You're the only food that you got where what was given to you because of your healings. But today it's not the same. Today you see these doctors with what's that? With like $1 million homes, Jaguars, BMWs, they're taking advantage over the suffering of their fellow mankind, just like we read in this book right here where it talks about the doctor. What's that? 41. Chapter 50, verse 41. Talk about the doctor who got great gain or became great and had comfort and luxury because of suffering of his fellow man. And it wasn't supposed to be like that. Christ, was one of those good doctors that healed the people and that was able to suffer with the people. That what does it say right here? Let me read that real quick. It says right here, okay, it says this. I will ask if they have truly felt the sufferings of other, if they have learned to descend to the most humble bed to heal with love and the one who suffers. So there you go. It's talking about them descending to the one they descending to the most humble bed to heal with love, right? So we know that was Christ all the way. But today it's not like that. Not even on the reservation. You got some. I'm gonna say some that try and practice, but it's still not there. I mean, there's some things that they can do, and some things they can't, and some things. I mean, I wouldn't go there because I got my Creator, I got my healer, which is Christ. I got His words right here. I know I can pray to the Most High and ask Him to heal me, and if He don't, so be it. And that was one thing too. Even the medicine man, they knew that. They knew that their medicine would not work on them because it was not made for them for their own healing and their own benefit. It was for the people. And today you don't see the doctors doing that. So let me go a little bit further, man. Okay, verse 56. If instead of being made, instead of being made conceited by your own earthly knowledge, you would identify yourself with all my works. Where would exist you from no mystery. Okay, you would recognize yourself as brethren, and you will love one another as I love you. In you there would be kindness, charity, love, wherein the union with the Father. Well, see, there you go. That's why we gotta show love to one another. Because it says that right here. Instead of being made conceited of our own earthly knowledge, right? Our own earthly knowledge, as we can say, we can put this right there. Our own earthly knowledge. Okay, let's get the skulls with what's that? Christoph Miners and Frederick Blumenbach. Having the four races: the Mongoloids, the Caucasianoids, the Negroids, and what was the other one? What was the other one? Asian, something like that. That's man's wisdom, right? But right here it says that we should see each other as being brothers, because now we know that we are not conceited, because we have known the existence of each other's and the existence of God. Right here, having identified. Okay, let me say this again. We have identified ourselves with all my works. So it's talking about the Most High's work. We can identify ourselves in those things that He had produced, and know that we are His creatures, or His creations, His creatures, and also know that we are brothers and sisters, man. Let me just read one more, and I'm gonna be gone, man. I'm gonna be done. I think I'm getting tired, man, because I'm getting tongue twisted, man. Okay, let me go down. Let me read on 63. I like this one, man. I have it highlighted. It says this: my doctrine, therefore, does not stagnate the spirit. Check that out. My doctrine, right, therefore does not stagnate the spirit, nor does it halt the evolution of man. On the contrary, right? So becoming spiritual, becoming, one with the Most High, it says that your spirit's not going to stagnate. You know, your evolution of a man, it's not going to stagnate, right? It's not going to become stagnant. But it says, on the contrary, it frees them and enlightens them, so that they may analyze, right? So that they may analyze, reason, and investigate and work. However, what man believes to be the pinnacle of his intellectual research is barely the beginning. So you see that this is just a barely it's barely the beginning. Because everything that it just now said, through our reason, through our investigation, analyzing things here and there, just because, right? Just because we only have a grip, a small portion of understanding of what we see, what we hear, what we sense, what we taste. Only because we have a small understanding of that. He said, "Your spirit is not your spirit is not stagnant if you have the Most High's love in you, the Most High science, the Most High spirit, the Most High's love." Because even when you read this whole chapter, it talks about the science of what's that? The science of. Wait, let me see if I can find that real quick, man. Give me a second. All right, all right. Where are you at, man? Right here. Let me read. Okay, this is verse 12. It says, "If man will feel a true love towards his brethren, they will have not to suffer the chaos in which they find themselves. Everything around them will be harmonious and peaceful, but they do not understand that divine love. They don't understand that divine love, and they want only the truth which reaches the mind, not one which reaches the heart. And there they have the result of their materialism and humanity that is egotistical, false, and full with bitterness. And full with bitterness, right? So there you go. That's what I was trying to bring out right there. Because and if you have the love of the Most High, because it calls it divine love, right? This is not the love that people just throw around. This is not the love that you see with the what's that with those old soap operas, like those old time ones. I can only remember those. Like what's that? Days of Our Lives, Passion, and what else? Oh shoot, Days of Our Lives. What's the other one? And those are some old ones, man. But yeah, that's not the kind of love it's talking about. It's not the kind of love that you see on TV. You know, this is divine love, having respect for one another. Because even it says that right here, if man will feel a true love towards his brethren, they will have not to suffer the chaos in which they find themselves. Everything around them will be harmonious and peaceful, but they do not understand that divine love, and they want only the truth which reaches the mind. There you go. This is the truth that only people want, is the things that they can see, right? The things that they can hear, the things that only this can create. But guess what? When those I know the brother put it up, those coronal mass injection from the sun, yeah, it elevates his mind and it passes that what's that that beastly thought, man, that animal thought, the young and the restless. There you go, you know, things like that, man. So knowing the divine love of the Most High, he said, if you have my love, your inventions, your scientific knowledge would advance. It will, because you're doing it for the benefit of your your brethren. Because it says right here, Mike. Let me. What does it say that? Right here. Let me read 62. I have endowed man with the intelligence that permits him to examine the makeup of nature as well as its manifestation. I have permitted him to behold a part of the universe and to feel the manifestation of the spiritual world. So there you go. If we understand the Most High and we have His love, right? He said these things He will give unto us. Just like when like when Christ was talking to his disciples, right? When his disciples asked him, why is it that every time we get a crowd, you start speaking in parables? And then Christ told his disciples, like, well, it's been given unto you the mystery in the kingdom of God, right? So here we go. We understand, what Christ was talking about, because people, man, humankind, right? I'm not talking about the spiritual being. I'm talking about the humankind. Their truth only can reach their mind what they can only understand. But all this other stuff, this godly science, this godly knowledge, wisdom, you know, it can only be comprehended by those who have and possess the love of God, His divine love, because we're doing it according to the Most High's will, not our will, but His will. And hopefully, man, hopefully you guys were able to catch everything I was trying to bring out. I know it was kind of late. I'm feeling kind of burned out, but I was reading through this all day, man. And I was talking with Elder Kodash, my brother. I was talking with him earlier, and he was telling me about this book. He gave it to me like, well, he said I can use it. I was like, about what? I don't know, about maybe like 6, 8 months ago, man. And we were just talking about it, and I was like, man, I gotta find that book now. So I started looking for it, found it, started reading through it. It's like, man, look at this. This is everything I wanted to bring out, because I was bringing out the Hopi prophecy and the biblical connection, because there's a lot of things that our people, you know, they have been saying this for a long time, man. They have been trying to warn the United States about their inventions, their egotistic what's that ego test? Not even acknowledging the indigenous people of this world, because if you've seen that other video, it also tells you that they were denied like about 3 times, I think, to actually attend the meeting, like the League of Nations, the United Nations, and all of that in Washington D.C. Everything they tried to give to the presidents, they just kept on denying them. And they had all these prophecies, from the East Coast to the West Coast, even South America. They had all these prophecy all together, trying to warn the United States, but they weren't listening. And I thought it was interesting, to bring out, especially at a time like this, because we got to wake up our people, man. We got to see ourselves as more than just, you know, assimilated indigenous people, because our elders had something that we're trying to possess right now, even for myself, even though I have this knowledge, and I'm able to put this together make a connection with our traditional, with our oral tradition, and there's not a lot of us out there, man. There's not a lot of us out there that would do this, because honestly, even for the Hopi peoples, or for any one of the villages, not just the Hopi, but the Pueblo and any tribes, Pueblos and any tribes, they always had to select a certain person to go out there and speak this truth. Not just anybody can do it, but I was not appointed by none of the tribes, or even from the Hopi tribe, but I'm appointed by the Most High. And I'm not going to hold back anything, right? I'm not going to hold back what the Most High has put in my heart to say to His people, because I'm speaking to all of us, because a lot of the times when you have certain people speaking from a certain tribe, they only speak for their tribe. They will say something like, well, you're not Lakota, or you're not Hopi, you're not Tewa, so I don't know if this is for you, but this and that, whatever. But I'm speaking for the Most High, so I'm speaking to all His creation, to all His creatures out there. And we just pray that you have eyes to see and ears to hear, man, because here we are, man. We're close to the end of times. I mean, they've been saying the end of times ever since, like in 1970s. They've been telling the United States, we're getting close to the end. We're getting close to the third, to the what's that? The fish shaking, the fish shaking. We're getting close to that time. No, the third shaking. I'm sorry. We're getting close to that time where it's going to have another war. So we're getting close to that, and they've been trying to tell the people, man. And if you get a chance, go check out this that video I was trying to play. Let me see if I can get it for you guys real quick. I'll put it in the description. yeah, I try to play this video, try to show you guys some stuff, but they flagged me on this. So I'm gonna change this title just a bit just so I don't get flagged. I'm gonna put what's that, ONOP. So you guys know that everything from ONLP, you can highlight that, paste it on your search engine, and try to find it or just type it in, man. And it's pretty good, man. You want to check it out because it talked about the advancement, the wisdom, the the technology the indigenous people have. Like aspirin. Where did that come from? It came from us. Native Americans like the Aztec, the Toltecs in South America, they were like the first ones to do brain surgeries. Before even today's before even today's medical achievements. They were doing brain surgeries at that time. You know, and not only that, but when you watch this video further, he also talked about how they were the first one to do artificial implants. I think it was art implants or something like that. Where they actually what's that? Put a they put the bones together and sewed it up, and became part of the femur or the leg or something like that. I don't know how they describe it, but yeah, they had that knowledge, that wisdom. And also talk about the herbs that they have. How this herb was able to do this and do that. The Aztec had something written down in their books that they had something that they could cure cancer with. And that's the thing. Like even with Dr. Sabi, right? How he was doing good. With the knowledge and the wisdom, the secrets, I guess you could say, that the Most High was revealing unto him to heal the people. I mean, I haven't watched him too much, but you always hear good things about Dr. Sabi. And that's why they had to take him out. And the same thing with Native Americans. We had a lot of wisdom, lot of technology, a lot of healing herbs, but we never got recognized for the stuff that they mass produce today. And they all came from indigenous people. But oh well, that's just the way it has to be. But we have the Most High with us. One nation, one power. We have the Most High with us, and we're going to continue to rock with the Most High. So with that, brothers and sisters, I want to say shalom. I want to say thank you to all the people that were on here, the family members. I love you guys. Much respect, much love. Keep staying in shalom. That's the only place that we need to be, man. We got to be in that mindset of being in shalom. And like I said, I was getting winded out towards the end, man. But hopefully you were able to was able to get what I was bringing across. So we look like we got some people from Yaqui, huh? Yeah, from the Yaqui from Mexico. See, there you go. And that's the thing, man. Our brothers and sisters. We all brothers and sisters, man. Got Media True Flow, George. George put a lot of information on there. Hopefully, you guys were able to catch that. Then we got what's this? Venya. All praise and glory. We got Yeshua right here, Mendoza. We got Lorraine, Most High Bless. We got what's that? Lisi, Natelli. All praise and glory, man. If you're still on here, man, you know what we be doing, right? We've been spreading that good manna, that manna that our people can grow. That's the kind of manna that we want our people to have. Something that they can grow in, and know that they can also give that good manna to our brothers and sisters that need it. We need to hear that good word. That have that good spirit within our brothers and sisters. To continue to spread forth that good manna. Yeah, yeah. Let's see what's up. Okay, be beloved. 35, much love. Love you, sister, man. You stay up, man. And we got what's this? Yohanan. We got Jella, right? And what's that? Nakamia, Nachamia. Yeah, yeah. So much love, man. Much love and much respect. You know how One Nation always do it, right? You know, it's you and I and you, right? Indigenous Nation United, right? Yep. I and you, Indigenous Nation United, United Nation Indigenous, right? We all people, man. All right, much love, man. Because with that, that's right, man. Well, you guys stay up. Much love.